Network Africa. Mediators meet with Mali rivals to resolve crisis in the country. Prime Minister of Tunisia, Aliz El Fakfak, has resigned amid alleged financial scandal. Plus, Rwanda allows churches to reopen, but with strict conditions to limit the spread of COVID-19. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Layo Adegoke. We begin with the controversy surrounding the River Nile Dam being built in Ethiopia. Now, Sudan says River Nile water levels have dropped as a reservoir behind the Grand Renaissance Dam has filled up, hitting out at any unilateral actions taken by any party. Egypt is also demanding a quick official clarification from Ethiopia on the filling up of the dam. Both Sudan and Egypt are downstream, and they fear the large dam will greatly reduce their access to water. However, Ethiopia sees the hydroelectric project as crucial for its economic growth and improving electricity supplies.
The latest talks, hosted by the African Union, to resolve the dispute over the future of a giant hydropower project on the Nile River, ended in deadlock. Ethiopia, Sudan and Egypt all failed to reach an agreement on regulating the flow of the water. The reservoir behind the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is now filling. That's according to Ethiopia's water minister, much to the reprimand of Sudan and Egypt.
It will not go below 560 meters. Once it has reached 560 meters, it will not go below that. The construction of the dam and the filling of the water go hand in hand.
Sudan and Egypt both fear the $4 billion dam could lead to water shortages in their own nations. Despite the fear, earlier this month, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed told Parliament that if Ethiopia doesn't fill the dam, it means Ethiopia has agreed to demolish the dam. But Ethiopia's state media have backtracked after reports on Wednesday that suggested the dam was being filled deliberately. The three countries had been expected to sign an agreement in Washington in February, but Ethiopia skipped the meeting and only Egypt initiated the deal. Sudan and Egypt are now seeking a legally binding agreement before the dam is filled up.
Representatives of the West African Regional Grouping ECOWAS, led by former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan, are in Mali and have met with President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, the Prime Minister Boubou Cissé, and an influential imam in the country. They are also expected to meet separately with opposition leaders and civil society organizations on Thursday. Mr. Jonathan has expressed optimism that his mission would yield positive results, saying they are in Mali with a message of peace and progress. In the meantime, the Malian Opposition Alliance, the June 5th movement, has called off protests scheduled for Friday, saying it will instead hold a memorial service for victims who were killed during last week's demonstrations. 3 days of clashes with security forces left 11 people dead and 158 others injured. Well, let's discuss further on the crisis in Mali. We have joining us now Lester Wilcox, an African Affairs analyst. Thank you, Mr. Wilcox, for joining us on the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to have me here.
Well, the crisis in Mali began some few weeks back with protests calling for President Keïta's resignation. With this latest development, what results do you think this meeting would produce?
Well, the history of Mali's violence and revolution is not strange. It's been coming and it's always there. And really, the underlying factors remain the fact that in Africa, everybody wants to be a leader at any point in time. Nobody wants to be a follower, and everybody wants to accuse a leader of certain anomalies so that they can perfect themselves in power or get themselves into power. So far, Mali has enjoyed a bit of a stable democracy in terms that President Keita came into office in 2013, and he just got re-elected in 2018. So whatever cause that is being made now is, to me, anti-democratic, because there is a constitution that is running. There could be negotiations. There could be when there's disaffection, there should be negotiations on how to resolve these disaffections. But calling for a government to abdicate responsibility and leave, especially in Africa, I do not understand how that will come to pass, except we still want to create more anarchy and more anarchy. The only recognized means of changing a government is through the ballot box. And if in 2018, President Keita was re-elected by the people after a second round of election, I think it behoves that he enjoys the backing of the people, and whatever protest that is going on now may not really go well for the country. It's only a diversion. Rather, whoever is aggrieved should seek legitimate means of getting the government out of power, and this is through the elections. The next election is due in 2023, which is next 5 years' term. I don't know if Keita has opportunity of running again, but if it does not, then some other person will take over. So it is, for me, it is abnormal trying to change the government through demonstration or anything. It doesn't all go well for any society.
Yeah, and many people have actually accused his government of failing to, address the long-running violence by militants. Some analysts say this is his biggest political challenge since coming into power in 2013. Do you share in this sentiment?
Yes, the Tuareg rebels that has been operating in Niger has predates Ahmed Keita government. This is a rebel group that has been operating from far back, sometime 2005 or 2007, to the effect that even the French government, the French military, has been involved in the fight against the Tuareg rebels. Just like in Nigeria, we have the Boko Haram that even predates this government. So the challenges will always be there. Now, the effect at which the government is handling it, is it satisfactory to the people? If it's not, then the people need to back up their government and encourage their government to do better. Because you can't expect that a problem that you met on ground should just disappear in one day. And see, when you are fighting a guerrilla warfare, if the French military that has been operating in Mali all these years has not been able, they have done some successes. But of course, such a war is not the type that goes up easily. So it behoves on the people of Mali. So yes, it's a challenge, I agree, to the government of Keita. But that he was elected in 2018 is the fact that there's an approval by the vast majority of Malians to his government. The only thing that can be done now is to get the parliament to impeach Keita. Not violent. Whatever violence cannot stop, because there's no way I will see a considered government of Mali abdicating responsibility based on the fact that there is affection in society. It doesn't happen in Africa, and it may not happen in Mali. Rather, what you get is the same of violence that happened last week that claimed the lives of people and injured a lot of people. And so how long do we continue the cycle of violence rather than waiting and taking constitutional advantages to change government? I think for me, that is the best way to go about it.
All right, then, Mr. Alester Wilcox, thank you for your thoughts on Network Africa.
It's always my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
The president's office in Tunisia has confirmed the resignation of Prime Minister Elise El Fakfak. The head of the government submitted his resignation following intense pressure from members of parliament the past week over a brewing alleged financial scandal. He is accused of maintaining shares in private companies that won state contracts amounting to $15 million. He lasted less than 6 months as prime minister, making this the shortest time in office for a Tunisian government official. Mr. Fakfak's resignation also comes after rifts in parliament led by the moderate Islamist party Ennahda and threats by lawmakers to withdraw confidence in his government over alleged conflict of interest. The outgoing prime minister has denied all accusations of corruption and has previously said he would step down if an ongoing investigation showed any wrongdoing. Well, the governing RHDP party in Côte d'Ivoire has honored the late Prime Minister Amadou Gon Coulibaly at Abidjan's main sports arena. President Alassane Ouattara bade an emotional farewell to Mr. Coulibaly, who he called his son, also addressing the party faithfuls awaiting the announcement of a new presidential election candidate.
Thousands of RHDP supporters flocked to Abidjan's main sports arena to attend a memorial for late Prime Minister Amadou Gon Coulibaly before his body was flown back to his hometown of Korhogo to be buried. Supporters, some of whom arrived early in the morning to make sure they could attend the event, only had praise for the late statesman and hoped the next in line will be able to work as hard.
We really lost a great man. It's really heartbreaking. We lost a great man. We're going to miss him a lot. We don't know what to expect. We have no words.
Concerning who will succeed Mr. Coulibaly, this supporter says he is confident there are other competent men.
We think there are several competent and valiant men that Mr. Ouattara has trained. I think the succession will be worthy because Côte d'Ivoire has competent men that can work as hard as Gon Coulibaly.
During the ceremony, President Alassane Ouattara bid an emotional farewell to his son.
To this great statesman, this son who told me, despite his shyness and his modesty, in front of the entire nation upon his return to Ivory Coast, which he feared, Big Brother President, I love you. I would like to finish by saying, Amadou, I love you too.
The death last week of Gon Coulibaly, handpicked by Ouattara to run in October's presidential election, has left the ruling party scrambling to find a replacement candidate, a process likely to reveal internal divisions. Following Gon Coulibaly's death, Ouattara's RHDP party said last week that it may ask the president to rethink his decision not to seek another term. This could help to unify the party, but would draw fierce criticism from Ouattara's opponents who say the constitution does not allow him to run again.
Zinzi Mandela's son, Zondwa Mandela, says his mother tested positive for COVID-19 the day she died. The youngest daughter of South Africa's first black president, Nelson Mandela, and anti-apartheid activist Winnie Madikizela Mandela, died in Johannesburg Hospital on Monday morning at the age of 59. Her son told public broadcaster SABC that it is not certain if the disease caused her death, and the family is waiting for the autopsy report. Mr. Mandela further adds that she will be buried on Friday morning. Well, Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera has called on citizens to join him in fasting and prayer against the spread and impact of coronavirus in the country. The president urged all religiously inclined citizens and residents of Malawi to fast and pray for 3 days starting Thursday. He also declared Sunday a national day of Thanksgiving. In a statement signed by Information Minister, the president asks that prayers be lifted up for the recovery of those infected and affected by the virus, the protection and sustenance of healthcare workers on the front lines, the protection and diligence of those who have yet to contract the virus, and the effectiveness of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. President Chakwera is a former church pastor who led the Malawi Assemblies of God Church for 24 years. He became leader of then opposition Malawi Congress Party in 2013, without having any previous political experience, and was elected president in on the 23rd of June election rerun, beating incumbent President Peter Mutharika. Thank you for staying with us. Rwanda is allowing churches to reopen, but it's with strict conditions meant to limit the spread of coronavirus. Now, that's according to a statement by the Prime Minister's office. Churches and schools were asked to close across the country on the 14th of March, hours after the first case of COVID-19 was reported. However, schools are to remain shut until September. The country now has recorded 1,435 cases of COVID-19 and 4 deaths. Rwandan journalist Magnus Mazimpaka joins us now on the program to tell us more. Thank you for speaking to us.
Good afternoon. Thank you. You're welcome to.
Well, let's begin with the reactions to this. Are citizens excited about the reopening of churches? What is everyone saying?
Well, not everyone is excited except Christians or worshippers, but it's been long for worshippers. I think since March up to yesterday, that is almost more than 3 months. That is quite some time. And most of the worshippers were waiting for this with a lot of anticipation. But prior to this decision, there was a cabinet meeting that discussed a document presented by members of the Christian and also religiously met to the government and agreed on what is going to happen. So I think
It's like we're having some audio issues. We'll try and reconnect with Magnus Mazimpaka. In the meantime, Egypt is offering reusable face masks to the citizens in the country's state subsidy scheme. Now, the nation began including face masks on national supply cards this month as part of efforts and measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Take a look.
Egypt has started offering reusable cotton face masks at around 50 cents each, alongside the food items provided in its state subsidy program, as it seeks to make protective gear more widely available to curb the coronavirus. Items such as bread, rice and sugar have been subsidized for more than 60 million people. Now, masks has been added to its list of essential goods with a limit of 2 per family.
There was an opportunity to use the supply outlets and the presence of supply cards with 22 million families to offer the masks. The mask is on the card and it is optional for the citizen. We have 19 items which the citizen has the right to choose from throughout the month. We added a new item, the mask, which is a long-lasting mask made on fabric.
He adds that authorities aim to distribute 19 million masks by the end of July. Egypt's state buyer, the General Authority for Supply Commodities, better known for importing huge tonnages of wheat bought on international markets, was tasked with procuring the masks from local suppliers, including the Military Production Ministry. An initial 40 million masks vetted for safety will be made available between July and August, but authorities plan to increase the amount later. In May, Egypt announced fines of about $250 for people not wearing masks in public.
I am prepared to leave a kilo of rice or sugar in order to take a mask instead, because this is protection for all of us. It is something wonderful, of course.
Egypt has so far registered 83,000 coronavirus cases, including 3,935 deaths.
Many South Africans have embraced online shopping during the coronavirus lockdown. An entrepreneur is seeking to close the gap in the market for an online delivery app that will service marginalized areas while creating jobs for the unemployed. Let's see this report.
South Africa's township entrepreneurs are seizing the moment with more people forced to stay at home as the country sees a peak in coronavirus cases. After quitting his job because of the lockdown, this entrepreneur saw a gap in the market for an online delivery app that will service marginalized areas while creating jobs for the unemployed. Siaza Delivery couriers pharmacy orders, clothes, fast food and groceries.
When the president announced the lockdown, everyone was frustrated. A lot of people were scared of the virus, which you still are. And we found a niche market where I can locate drivers and create an app that will allow you to, at your door or at your home, sit and just order food and come through with everything.
Having long lagged behind much of the world, retailers and delivery startups in Africa's most advanced economy are experiencing an e-commerce boom as consumers shy away from shops during the pandemic. But what should be a boom for businesses suffering a sharp decline in foot traffic is straining the capacity of even South Africa's largest retailers, with customers complaining of long wait time and poor service. Sorting out those growing pains will dictate which companies emerge from the pandemic as e-commerce leaders and who gets left behind. Despite the glitches, analysts have been surprised by the growth in the industry over the lockdown period. E-commerce accounted for just 1.6% or $1.2 billion of South African retail sales in 2019, according to London-based market research firm Euromonitor.
Now it's very easy because you don't have to go outside. So you order and they bring your food at your gate. So it is convenient.
When lockdown restrictions imposed in late March were loosened in May, market researchers' Urban Studies found only 50 to 70% of customers returned to shopping centres.
And as we end the program today, the chairman of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa, has congratulated Professor Charles Egbu on his recent appointment as the Vice-Chancellor of Leeds Trinity University, East London, United Kingdom. In a statement issued in Abuja, the NIDCOM boss describes Mr. Egbu's appointment as a further testimony of the resilience, determination, and dedication of Nigerians to excel in their chosen careers anywhere in the world. Mrs. Dabiri-Erewa believes this feat will bring a wealth of experience and broad knowledge of higher education sector to the university and to the benefit of humanity. Professor Charles Egbu is the first black person to achieve this historical feat as Vice-Chancellor of the university. He has authored over 12 books and over 350 publications in reputable international journals. Well, congratulations to him. And that's where we end Network Africa today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Adegoke.
COVID-19